Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Prajachana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Prajachana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtotara Shuddha Shishamad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashtotara Shuddha Shishamad His Divine Krishna Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Do you think you could just put it right here? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12. Murti Bewilder's Lord Shiva, Text 41. So if you could please repeat after me. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shivatsakena Sat Kritaha Amantriya Tam Parikramya Sagana Swalayan Yayo. Shri Shukuvacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsakena Satkritaha. Is that book ready? Amantrya tam parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayo. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsakena Satkritaha Amantrya tam parikramya Sagana Salayam Yayo. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsakena Satkritaha Amantrya tam parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayo.
Shri Sukovacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsankena Satkritaha Amantratam Parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayao. Shri Sukovacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsankena Satkritaha
Thank you.
Amantratam Parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayao. Shri Sukovacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsena Satkrita Amantyatam Parikramya Svalayam Yayao.
Sri Sukovacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsankena Satkritaha Amantryatam Parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayo.
Like to chant. Like to try? Chant. Any online?
Shri Sukovacha
Shri Shukovacha
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Evam Bhagavata Rajan
Shri Vatsankena Satvita Atmantriyatam Parikramya Saganaha Svalayam Yayau
Shri Shuka Vacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Shri Vatsankena Satkritaha Amantriyatam Parikramya Sagana Svalayam Yayau
Krishna Vacha Evam Bhagavata Rajan Srivatsankena Satkrita Amantraya Tam Parikramya Shagana Shalayam Jayo.
Shri Shukuvacha. Shri Shukadev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Bhagavata, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rajan, O King. Shrivatsa Ankena, who always carries the mark of Shrivatsa on his breast. Satkritaha, being very much applauded. Amantya, taking permission from. Tam, him. Parikramya, circumambulating. Saganaha, with his associates. Sva-alayam, to his own abode. Yao, went back. Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, O King, having thus been praised by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who bears the mark of Shrivatsa on his chest, Lord Shiva circumambulated him. Then, after taking permission from him, Lord Shiva returned to his abode, Kailash, along with his associates. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that when Lord Shiva was offering obeisances unto Lord Vishnu arose and embraced him. Therefore the word Shrivatsakena is used here. The mark of Shrivatsa adorns the chest of Lord Vishnu, and therefore when Lord Vishnu embraced Lord Shiva while being circumambulated, the Shrivatsa mark touched Lord Shiva's bosom. Next. O descendant of Bharat Maharaj, Lord Shiva, in jubilation, then addressed his wife, Bhavani, who is accepted by all authorities as the potency of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva said, O goddess, you have now seen the looser energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the unborn master of everyone. Although I am of the principal expansions of his lordship, even I was illusioned by his energy. What then is to be said of others who are fully dependent on Maya? 44. When I finished performing mystic yoga for 1,000 years, you asked me upon whom I was meditating. Now here is that Supreme Person to whom time has no entrance and who the Vedas cannot understand. Purport. Eternal time enters anywhere and everywhere, but it cannot enter the kingdom of God. Nor can the Vedas understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is an indication of the Lord's being omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. Okay, so we'll read up to 47, 45. Shukadev Goswami said, My dear king, the person who bore the great mountain on his back for the churning of the ocean of milk is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Sarang Gadava. I have now described to you his prowess. The endeavor of one who constantly hears or describes this narration of the churning of the ocean of milk will never be fruitless. Indeed, chanting the glories of the Supreme Personality of God is only means to annihilate all the sufferings in this material world. 47. Assuming the form of a young woman, and thus bewildering the demons, the Supreme Personality of God had distributed to his devotees, the demigods, the nectar produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always fulfills the desires of his devotees. I offer my respectful obeisances. Purport. The instruction of this narration concerning the churning of the milk ocean is clearly manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although he is equal to everyone, because of natural affection, he favors his devotees. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9:29, Samoham savabhuteshu name dvesho stina priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. This partiality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is natural. A person cares for his children not because of partiality, but in a reciprocation of love. The children depend on the father's affection, and the father affectionately maintains the children. Similarly, because devotees do not know anything but the lotus feet of the Lord is always prepared to give protection to his devotees and fulfill their desires. He therefore says, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly, that my devotee never perishes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 8th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Mohini Morti Incarnation, Bewilders Lord Shiva. I think the next chapter is it the next chapter that's extremely short? No, I don't think it's the next chapter, but one chapter coming up, it's like 11 verses or something. So this must be the shortest. Yeah, it's actually 10 verses, the system of universal management. It's definitely the shortest chapter in the Bhagavatam. Om Yaditavarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Madhitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Kritva Chalan Pandamangate Grimya Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurundani Taranam Vanchakapadribhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this last verse concludes this chapter, Mohini Morti Bewilders Lord Shiva. So we made it through this chapter. Srila Prabhupada was once speaking with a disciple of his, and the disciple asked him about what is coined in spiritual circles as fall down, or say falling from grace, or having difficulty in one's spiritual life. And he asked how that was the case, because this disciple was seeing that even devotees who were placed in, say, high positions of responsibility, and who were mature and productive and so on, were sometimes having difficulties. So he asked Srila Prabhupada, how is that? And Srila Prabhupada said that the spiritual master places the disciple in the most advantageous position for service. But sometimes the disciple, instead of performing that service, they may choose to engage in sense gratification. They choose to neglect that service, and you could say fall down or fall from grace due to their own free will. So when we see this, it can be discouraging. Anyone who has been around 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what to speak of 30, 40, 50 years, they've seen many people fall from grace. Sometimes people, they completely disappear. That happens. And sometimes it's more of a temporary thing. They have some temporary difficulty, and then they stay in the in the devotee circle. Of course, feeling discouraged is much better than feeling pleasure upon seeing someone's difficulty. That's not good at all. When somebody has some difficulty, if somebody's really cruel, then they externally laugh or make fun of the person or whatever. Maybe a little less. At least it's in their mind. They're taking some enjoyment from that. Just see, we knew this person was going to fall. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of two cow dung patties, right? So this is in India. They take the dung of a cow and they dry it out. They make patties. You go to India and you'll see huge stacks of them. They use them for fire, to ignite for fire, fuel, to cook or whatever. And they use them for other purposes. But so Srila Prabhupada would give the short story in that. How does it go? Anyone remember?
I remember, but are you actually asking? Do you know?
Yeah, I think I'm for some reason.
All right. So
And you like this story, so I'll let you tell this.
they
I think you like it.
They dry the in the villages. You dry the cow dung on the wall. They knead it a little bit and they smack it on the wall.
Yeah,
So, and then when it's dry, they throw it into the fire.
yeah,
So the cow patty that's drying on the wall says to the one being thrown in the fire, says, ha, 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 you're being burned up. And the cow pie in the fire says, hey, 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 you're next.
yeah. Sureshwar, you like that one, huh? You're next. Be careful.
You're next.
So this is it illustrates a very important point that we should be careful not to think, oh, this person had difficulties, fallen from grace, whatever, ha ha ha, but we have to be very careful because that could be us down the road. So yes, feeling discouraged is much better than feeling pleasure in somebody's difficulty. So again, if someone has been around for some time, then they will see cases like this. I remember years ago when I joined the Brahmacharya ashram, I think I was just initiated or maybe not, I don't know. But one senior devotee, he told me about another devotees having problems in their spiritual life and acting outside of devotional principles and what would be considered socially just wrong, unacceptable, even in mundane or secular society. So he told me about this, and before he told me, he said, I was debating whether to tell you because this person was close to us in a sense, and he was thinking maybe I wouldn't be able to process it, but he told me. And that was one case. But yeah, again, over the years, you see cases like that. So it's unavoidable, actually. Just like in a war, I don't think anyone's been in a war here, right? But in a war, the typical war, there's going to be people who die, there's going to be people who are injured, so on. So similarly in the battle, I could say, against material energy, or the battle of us trying to be surrendered devotees, Krishna conscious devotees, there's going to be people who are sometimes injured and they recover. Should help them recover. And then there's going to be people who, at least temporarily are off the scene for some time. But ultimately, we shouldn't be discouraged, and that Krishna is supremely merciful. Krishna is the most merciful. And Krishna has so much affection for the living entities, it's actually inconceivable. We cannot conceive of the amount of affection Krishna has for every living entity. If we could even understand that to a small degree, we would be more likely to be into Krishna, or we'd be more likely to surrender to Krishna, if we actually understood the supremely merciful nature of Krishna. So Krishna forgives. Of course, as Srila Prabhupada makes the point in the purport to Apichet Sudarachayo Bhajate Mamananyabhak, that one should not take advantage of this forgiving nature of Krishna. Right, Sreshwar? I forgive you once, I forgive you twice, third time. One should not...
Did I take off my shoes?
Yes. So, we shouldn't take advantage of the supremely merciful nature of Krishna. Apichet Siddharachayo Bhajate Mamananyabhak. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 30, that even if one commits the most abominable action, so he's speaking about devotees here. If he is engaged or she is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. I'll read a little bit from the purport here, Srila Prabhupada's purport excerpt. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The words Sadhur Eva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are a warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly, even if he has accidentally fallen down. So he shouldn't be derided, which means made fun of. And the word mantavya is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule, and he derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then one is disobeying the order of the Supreme Lord. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. So there's the 26 qualities of a devotee. We went over those in Krishna Lounge, South Bay, some time ago. Each week we discussed a quality. But out of all those qualities, what is the most important one? Who could say? Surrender to Krishna. That's the most important one. Of course, they're all important, but this is the most important one because even if one doesn't have the other qualities, they haven't manifested. If one is surrendering to Krishna, then gradually they will. So this is the only qualification of devotees to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. And then in Singha Purana, the following statement is given: Bhagavati cha harav ananya cheta. The meaning is that even if one fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord is sometimes found to engage in abominable activities, these activities should be considered to be like the spots that resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Srila Prabhupada one time said, which is not so much quoted, and I could understand why, but he said one time that if you see Brahmananda, that was one of his early disciples. Actually, he was the first temple president of the movement in New York City. But he said, if you see Brahmananda on the street and he's smoking a cigarette, you should still consider him saintly. And Prabhupada was making the point that it is due to some past habits, bad habits, that he's doing this. So it's not intentional in the sense it's an accident. And when we hear this verse that the spots should resemble the mark of a rabbit on the moon. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say about Shama Sundar Prabhu. Very interesting story, and it's unique. Yeah, unique. That he was in San Francisco, and Srila Prabhupada asked him to carve the first Jagannath Baladev Subhadra deities. But they're still there in Berkeley, the temple. So he was, because he was expert, like craftsman or whatever. So he's carving Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, the deities. And Srila Prabhupada was wondering why it's taking so long. It's like it was kind of taking a long time. Prabhupada was getting, anxious. He was very enthusiastic to see Jagannath Baladev Subhadra manifest. It's kind of like you could think about the original Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. The sculptor said, "If you enter the room, then I'm out of here. I'm leaving." So the king, Indrayumna, he entered the room, and then the sculptor was gone, and therefore you have Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. But anyways, so Srila Prabhupada, he went to check on Shama Sundar and the carving of the deities, and Prabhupada walked in there. So Shama Sundar wasn't expecting it. So Srila Prabhupada walked in, and then he looked at Jagannath, and right on Lord Jagannath's head there was a pack of cigarettes. I mean, talk about against the principles of deity worship, right? I mean, you have to be very clean to go on the altar. You have to be qualified in so many ways. But here, the pack of cigarettes on Jagannath's head. So then you could imagine what Prabhupada's response was, right? There's different ways he could have responded. But how he responded was he took his cane and he just shoved the pack of cigarettes off Jagannath's head, and it flew to the ground. And then Srila Prabhupada told him that, he told him an interesting thing, Shama Sundar. He said, which we can relate to really anything, whether it's cigarettes or whatever it may be. He said, don't let such a small thing get in between you and Krishna. But further, he understanding how he was attached to smoking cigarettes. I mean, he was initiated, by the way, Shama Sundar Das. And he tells us in his story, so he's open about it. We're not deriding him here. But Srila Prabhupada, he told him that I could understand you're attached to smoking cigarettes. So what you do is you just, every day you reduce the amount you smoke. Just reduce. In other words, gradually wean yourself off of it. And then eventually you'll be free. So that's what Shama Sundar did. And he continued carving Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra, and they're there in Berkeley. You could have darshan sometime. So this verse that we read from the Srimad Purana says that these faults are considered to be like a mark on the moon, spots on the moon, or specifically it says mark of a rabbit on the moon. So different cultures have different things that they think of when they see the moon. But such spots do not become an impediment to the diffusion of moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fault on a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. So even on the level of bhava, it explains, which is a very high state, explains the nectar devotion, that one may still have some residual bad qualities, which are considered to be like spots on the moon, even on that level. But still, moonlight, the light is shining. In other words, they can still do good for others in the world. So then Srila Prabhupada explains further. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all kinds of abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs, but when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotional service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee. Prabhupada. So Krishna is supremely merciful and forgiving, and he's always ready to protect his devotees and fulfill their desires. And even if a devotee has some problems, then he mentions in the next verse, he says, Chipram bhaviti dharma ma shashvat chantim nagachati konteya pratijani name bhakta pranashati. So pranashati means perishes. Bhakta, devotee, na, never, may, my. My devotee never perishes. And he tells Arjuna to declare it boldly. He said, you declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. So who could say why Krishna, because Krishna could have declared it boldly, but he asked his devotee to. So who could say, maybe some of the younger devotees, who could say why Krishna asked Arjuna to declare it boldly? Does anyone remember? Because he could have done it himself. Yeah, well, yeah, he likes to give his devotees credit, but there's a more specific reason. Any of the younger devotees remember? Ananda Vrindavan? Yes. From Benares. By karma and Sangha, he could have been a Baba Shaivite, but he became a devotee, so Krishna. Yes. Saved him.
So, I remember Prabhupada saying once in a class that Krishna sometimes, like if he commits, sometimes he moves away from his commitments. But
yes.
That's why he's asking Arjuna to you declare, because
yes. Sometime under unusual circumstances and for good reasons, for the pleasure of his devotees and so on, Krishna sometimes breaks his promises for the pleasure of the devotees. Anyone can remember any cases where Krishna breaks his? Yes.
Well, let's hear somebody else.
Oh, you'd be good. There's the mic there.
Well, he promises Thanks. He promises he won't fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Yeah.
But when his devotee Arjuna was going to be killed by Bhishma, he stepped right in. He broke his promise.
Yep, that's right. He picked up a wheel and was fighting with Bhishma Dev, huge chariot wheel. It's a beautiful painting, actually. Devotees painted it of Krishna. He's there with a huge chariot wheel, and he's going towards Bhishma. He said he wouldn't fight on the battlefield, as Bajranath Swami is saying, but he broke his promise. So there's some cases like that. So therefore, Krishna is saying, you declare it, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. So
he broke his promise to the gopis that he'd come back.
yes.
Of course, there's an ontological, he never left, but
Yeah. All right, does anybody have any question or comment?
I have a question.
Okay.
Let's see what the rest have.
Yes, Guru Krishna. Do a lot of devotees call you GK? Some? Some? Okay.
There was a devotee named Kundali, and he called me Jeeks.
Interesting.
GKS, Jeeks. Yeah, he's in Brazil. I don't know where he is.
I remember Bhishma Dev Das. He became initiated here. He's a brahmachari here. He served here for a number of years. He's over in Florida. But anyways, he got initiated with the name Bhishma Dev. So sometimes devotees would call him Bish. Yeah, or Bish Meister, whatever. So I remember he got really offended one time, and he said, I worked so hard, I surrendered so much of my life, my time, and I get a spiritual name, Bhishmadev, and then you all you're reducing it to Bish, come on, call me Bhishmadev. So, anyways.
It was out of affection.
Yeah, that's true.
I used to call Dorcas Das Mr. DDD.
Nice.
And Gargamuni, guard your money.
That's a good one. I didn't hear that one. Well, Ashram Maharaj couldn't wait to get a new name because he was Babaru, and Balabhadra used to tease him, Babaru. Hare Krishna. Satya Maharaj had a devotee at Gita Nagar named Arya, and Balabhadra would say, "Are you happy? Are you hungry?"
All right, let's go.
Okay. So
We could keep on going. I could see. All right. We'll go. We'll continue during breakfast. Yes.
So like Maharaj was saying, he broke his promise on the battlefield, and then he broke his promise to the gopis that he wouldn't return. But it had the whole Vrindavan Leela is a whole bunch of trickery. He convinces his father not to worship Govardhan Hill by explaining Mamangsa philosophy, and he's stealing and he's joking and he's lying about, that's what gives this Bhaktavatsal so much meaning, is because he's so misunderstood throughout his childhood, leading up to the Battle of Kurukshetra.
Yeah.
No question.
Comment.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Krishna Leela Ki Jai. Any other question? Yes.
I can ask my question then. Thanks. It's a little off theme, so I apologize for that. But in one of the earlier verses, not in the purport, but in the verse itself, it says that Krishna always fulfills the desires of his devotees. Well, I got a ton of desires, and they did not get all fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that Krishna's not God and I'm praying to the wrong God? I should go back to the church and pray for bread? I mean, what is that all about?
All right.
And I don't really know that particular answer. I got different ideas. So I'm genuinely inquiring.
Yeah, in the Sri Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that Krishna is the self-sufficient philosopher fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. So he's fulfilling everyone's desires, and specifically, as you're mentioning, Krishna, he fulfills the desires of his devotees. Although, just as a good parent understands the needs of the child, and they provide what the child needs for their growth and nourishment and all of that. Similarly, Krishna, he doesn't He doesn't want to see us destroyed by our desires. So he fulfills them very carefully, with great, if you want to say, precision. And sometimes Krishna may fulfill our material desires. That's true. But in the Bhagavatam and quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, it says that Krishna may fulfill our material desires in such a way as we don't ever want them again. So yeah, Krishna knows best in relation to fulfilling our desires, and we should have faith in that, not that, oh, well, I'm desiring this, I'm desiring that, I'm desiring so many things that Krishna's not fulfilling, but that we could take it as indication that that may not be good for us, and Krishna wants to see us progress. So yeah, those are some thoughts. I mean, just like you have the case of Sudama Brahman in the 10th canto. He was, so much opulence was given to him, just inconceivable actually. But he was able to process that. He used it all in Krishna service. So that's an example. Of Krishna giving something to someone because they could handle it. Just like sometimes devotees quote that Srila Prabhupada said he was tested in two ways. He said, first, everything was taken away from me. That was in India. He had his family and his business, and at one particular point, Srila Prabhupada, he was walking around with rips in his dhotis, and it's explained in the Leelamrita that he had to decide, should I print my books or should I have breakfast this morning? So in other words, he didn't have anything really, any position in secular society or the spiritual society. Also the Gaudiya Math, he was, so he said that Krishna took everything away. That's how he tested. And then he said the second way Krishna tested me is he said he gave me everything. So many temples and disciples and so on. But whatever the case is, Srila Prabhupada used everything in Krishna's service. So yeah, Krishna knows what to give us, what not to give us, and so on.
Yeah, you gave a very nice, nuanced, and dual answer: material desire, spiritual desire. I was thinking, as you said, that Krishna fulfills the desires of his devotees. He understands our underlying ultimate desire. Mm-hmm. Our real desire is to get out of here and go back to Godhead. Mm-hmm. So he's not distracted and doesn't fulfill our minuscule, material, petty desires, mm-hmm. but he fulfills our real desire.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you could also say, of his devotees, therefore, we need to be a genuine devotee.
Yeah.
Which means we want to go back to Godhead.
Yeah, sometimes
I liked your answer.
Thank you. Sometimes the mind...
I'm back on the path, thank you.
Sometimes the mind's like that, like a child going through a grocery store or something. Oh, I want this. I mean, mom, dad, I want this. At the checkout line, there's all this stuff. So yeah, Krishna understands that sometimes these desires come up, but they're not really important. And ultimately, the devotee understands that they're not important. And as Bhajadrayan Swami says, that Krishna fulfills the deepest desire. Yes, Sankarshan last. You have something? Okay, go for it.
Okay, ready?
Shoot.
We were talking about these 26 qualities of a devotee. I was wondering if someone already has these qualities, but they're not taken up to devotional service, would it be easier for them to take it versus somebody who doesn't? Just kind of.
All right.
Restate the question, because I didn't quite get the question.
Okay. Yeah, Sankarshan saying that there's 26 qualities of a devotee. So if somebody already has these qualities, they're a good person or whatever, they have good qualities, is it easier for them to take up bhakti? It's a similar discussion we were having the other night, I believe in the Thursday Krishna Lounge, is that the mode of goodness, it helps one be receptive to the message of Krishna consciousness. But it's not automatically that, oh, I'm in the mode of goodness and I will automatically jump to transcendence, or I will automatically become a devotee. But it makes us more receptive. Just like the examples given, you have wet grass, you have grass, and you have dry grass. So dry grass, if we're trying to ignite, it'll immediately catch fire. So if one is a good person, they have good qualities, and so on, then, in the mode of goodness, then upon meeting a devotee, that's a very important step. They need to meet a devotee, right? As was being discussed the other night in the lounge, bhakti comes from bhakti. You have to meet a devotee. Then, upon meeting that devotee, because their consciousness is like dry grass, it could easily ignite Krishna consciousness. Whereas those in the other modes, it's more difficult. So that's the idea.
What about if this person in the mode of goodness meets a devotee, but this devotee is struggling with different anarthas, and he's kind of discouraged? Like this devotee is like in the mode of ignorance or passion, but it's still a devotee.
Well, I mean, it's, you have something you could say? No, you go for it. Of course, like we look at the case of Srila Prabhupada, he was a pure devotee of Krishna, all 26 qualities, and full, and he was very inspiring. Everyone was very inspired. I mean, receptive people. There's many people who came and left, but the receptive people were very inspired by him and his personality and his message and so on. So the more advanced devotees, the better. And that is actually one of the greatest services we could do for humanity, is to advance in Krishna consciousness and be an advanced devotee, because then if we come in contact with people, pious people, then they think, oh, this person, I should also surrender to Krishna. What am I doing with my life? So, yeah.
I was just going to say, your answer was great. At the same time, we often find people who've become devotees by people that were blowing pot and, well, let's read Krishna book, or the guy's working. I mean, there's a lot of devotees struggling, completely out of the association of devotees, and they'll meet someone and they'll say something. So a lot of people come from tangential contact with devotees who are struggling.
Yes,
It's never lost or completely covered.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I've known people who've become devotees. Their next door neighbor was a fallen devotee, and would preach to them, hey, I don't do it, but you shouldn't do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You should be, and they preach Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, there's quite a number
That's not an excuse to be lazy. I'm just saying that you can't really keep a moon in a basket. You can't cover it.
Yeah, there's many stories like this. Okay, Mukunda Chan has something important to say.
This is as of a comment, but it's kind of important, so I wanted the online audience to hear it. Hridayananda Goswami has a disciple. I don't remember what her name is, but it's like Radha. Might have just been Radharani, Rasika, something, but something like that. Maybe Radharani Devidasi or Radha Rasika Devidasi. So his nickname for her became R2D2. That's all.
We had Madan Mohan Mohini. Madan Mohan Mohini, and she was called M squared D, no, M cubed D squared. Because MMMDD.
So you just see the devotees, you know.
There's so many.
Blue Jay? It's Vijay. Okay, Jay. Granted, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.